You know, as women, we're often told how to be, how to speak, how to dress, how to behave, but let me tell you something. You don't have to fit into anyone's mold to be extraordinary. You just need to be you. Unapologetically, fearlessly, and fiercely owning your identity is one of the most powerful things a woman can do on the journey to success. It's about looking in the mirror and truly seeing yourself, not just the version the world expects, but the raw, real, untamed version of you. It's not about being perfect, it's about being authentic. And authenticity is magnetic. It draws in the right opportunities, the right people, and the right energy. So many times, women are conditioned to shrink themselves, to be softer, quieter, more palatable. We're told that confidence is arrogance, that ambition is selfish, and that strength is unladylike. But owning your identity means rejecting those narratives entirely. It means choosing to walk into every room not with fear, but with presence, knowing that who you are is more than enough. There is immense pressure to conform in today's world. Social media bombards us with filtered lives, curated perfection, and a never-ending cycle of comparison. But the truth is, no one else has your story, your voice, or your fire. That's your power. Owning your identity is about taking that uniqueness and wearing it like a crown. Whether you're loud or quiet, introverted or extroverted, emotional or logical, own it. There's strength in softness, just as much as there is strength in assertiveness. Success doesn't have a single face or a single tone of voice. It looks different on every woman, and that's what makes it beautiful. When you own your identity, you stop living for validation and start living for truth. You stop trying to fit in and start standing out, and the world notices, because confidence rooted in self-awareness is unshakable. It doesn't mean you'll never feel insecure, it means you'll recognize insecurity for what it is. A passing moment, not a definition of your worth. You'll learn to walk away from people and spaces that don't honor who you are. You'll stop apologizing for your passion, your opinions, your success, and yes, your failures too. Because when you own your story, even your failures become a badge of honor. Success starts with self-acceptance, and not the kind of surface-level acceptance that says, I guess I'm okay, but the deep, soul-level acceptance that says, I am powerful just as I am. That kind of acceptance becomes a shield in a world that will try to break you down. It becomes a compass when you lose your way. It becomes a voice when silence tries to drown you out. And from that place of groundedness, you can build, you can lead, you can thrive. Owning your identity also means defining success on your own terms. Not based on someone else's checklist, not society's, not your parents', not your partner's, not your peers'. Maybe your version of success is building a $1 billion company. Maybe it's raising a family, writing a book, starting a nonprofit, or living a life of travel. Whatever it is, own it. Don't wait for permission. Don't dilute your dreams to make others comfortable. The world needs women who are unapologetically themselves, who disrupt the norm just by being real. And don't be afraid if your identity evolves. It should. Growth is not betrayal. As you learn more about yourself, as you step into new seasons of life, your identity might shift. That's not weakness. It's transformation. It's strength. You are allowed to outgrow versions of yourself. You are allowed to say, that was me then, and this is me now. That fluidity is part of the power of being a woman. We evolve, we adapt, we rise. So whether you're stepping onto a stage, into a boardroom, or into your own space at home, carry yourself like you belong, because you do. Success doesn't ask you to be someone else. It asks you to show up fully as who you are. Let your identity be your signature, your foundation, and your superpower. No one can be you better than you, and that is your greatest advantage. Being fiercely ambitious is about giving yourself permission to dream without limits, and then having the courage to chase those dreams with relentless passion. It's about waking up every single day and knowing that your goals are valid, your aspirations matter, and you don't need to shrink them for anyone else's comfort. Ambition is not just a quality, it's a fire. It's the kind of fire that can't be put out by fear, by rejection, or by the opinions of people who lack the vision to see what you see. Being a successful woman means claiming that ambition and holding on to it, even when the world tries to convince you to settle for less.
There's a narrative that ambitious women are too much, too intense, too driven, too confident. But here's the truth: you can never be too much for the right path. The world has always been shaped by women who dared to be bold, who ignored the rules, who defied expectations.
Your ambition is not a threat. It's a blueprint for something greater. Whether your dream is to lead a company, start a movement, become an artist, or make scientific breakthroughs, you have every right to want that with your whole heart.
Ambition doesn't mean stepping on others to rise. It means refusing to let doubt or circumstance define your worth or your limits. Fierce ambition is not just about goals. It's about attitude. It's waking up and saying, "I am capable," even when you don't feel it.
It's about doing the hard things, the scary things, the things that make your heart race and your hands shake, because you believe in the outcome more than you fear the process. It's about resilience, consistency, and hunger.
When you're ambitious, failure becomes a lesson, not a label. Criticism becomes a tool, not a wall, and obstacles, they become stepping stones. Because when you truly want something, you find a way, you get resourceful. You adapt, you fight harder. To be fiercely ambitious, you must also be unapologetic. You have to stop waiting for the right moment, the perfect plan, or someone to say, "You're ready." If you want it, start now.
Start messy, start scared, start underqualified. Ambition doesn't wait for permission. It creates opportunity, and every step you take in the direction of your dreams, no matter how small, builds momentum.
Every risk you take teaches you something about yourself. Every challenge you face refines your character. The process of chasing a big dream changes you, strengthens you, and shapes you into the person who's not just dreaming, but doing. It's also important to remember that ambition is deeply personal. You don't need to compare your journey to anyone else's. Just because someone got there faster, louder, or with more resources doesn't mean your success is any less worthy.
Your ambition should be aligned with your values, your purpose, and your happiness, not anyone else's timeline. When you focus on your own lane, when you pour energy into becoming the best version of yourself, the noise fades. The pressure fades, and what's left is clarity, drive, and purpose. Ambition doesn't mean you won't have moments of doubt. You will. It doesn't mean the path will always be clear or that success will come easily.
But what it does mean is that you won't quit when things get tough. You won't let no be the end of your story. You won't stop just because the climb is steep. Because the woman with fierce ambition doesn't just have goals, she has grit. She doesn't just talk, she acts. She doesn't just want it, she works for it. There will be people who don't understand your hunger, people who question your choices, people who will tell you to slow down, tone it down, calm down.
Ignore them. Your ambition is not theirs to judge. You don't need to dim your light to make others feel comfortable. Shine anyway, dream big anyway. Go after what sets your soul on fire anyway. You owe it to yourself to see how far you can go when you stop holding back. Ambition, when rooted in authenticity, becomes unstoppable. It drives you forward even on the days when progress feels invisible. It keeps you moving when no one is watching, when no one is clapping, and when no one is believing but you. And eventually it becomes more than just a desire. It becomes your identity. You are not just chasing success. You are becoming it. Breaking the mold is not just an act. It's a mindset, a daily decision to live boldly, think differently, and reject the limitations that others try to place on you. It means refusing to follow a path just because it's been walked 1,000 times before. It means looking at tradition, expectation, and convention and daring to say, "That doesn't work for me." For a woman to break the mold, she has to be willing to disappoint people. She has to be willing to hear the criticism, to stand in discomfort, and to keep moving forward anyway, because greatness doesn't come from doing what's already been done. It comes from doing what most people are afraid to even try. From a young age, women are often taught to follow rules, to stay in line, to be agreeable, to do what's right. But right by whose standards?
Many of those rules were never written with women in mind. They were built to keep us in a box, to define our worth by our proximity to someone else's success or approval. Breaking the mold means burning that box to the ground. It means rewriting the script and making space for your own version of life, your own definition of what it means to be powerful, to be successful, to be free. It doesn't matter what your background is, where you come from, or what you've been told. You have the authority to choose your own narrative. Women who break the mold are often misunderstood. People will question their choices, judge their courage, and call them difficult, rebellious, or even reckless. But trailblazers always look like rule breakers until the world catches up. You don't have to explain your vision to people who can't see it. Your job isn't to make others comfortable with your path, it's to walk it with conviction. When you break the mold, you give permission to others to do the same. You open the door for a new generation to rise without fear, without shame, and without compromise. Your courage becomes a ripple effect. Breaking the mold also requires trusting your intuition more than the noise around you. It means believing in your ideas even when no one else does. It means creating things that don't exist yet, stepping into roles you were never meant to play, and building futures you were never taught to imagine. It's not about being reckless or impulsive. It's about being visionary. It's about looking at the current system and saying, we can do better. Whether you're the first woman in your family to go to college, the only woman in a boardroom, or someone who chooses an entirely unconventional path, you are doing something revolutionary. You're choosing courage over comfort. There's also a quiet kind of power in breaking the mold. It's not always about loud rebellion. Sometimes it's simply the quiet refusal to settle, the decision to stay single when society expects marriage, the choice to start over when everyone says you're too old, the courage to speak up in a room where your voice has been silenced. These moments, though small on the surface, are acts of resistance. They are declarations of self-worth. They are proof that your life belongs to you, and only you, and let's be honest, breaking the mold is not easy. It can be lonely, it can be exhausting, but it's also liberating. It's the kind of freedom that comes from knowing you're living your truth, even if it makes others uncomfortable. It's about making your own map instead of following someone else's route. And yes, you might stumble, you might take wrong turns, but every step you take is yours. Every lesson you learn is earned, and every milestone you reach will be a reflection of your courage, not your conformity. So when they say that's not how it's done, smile and say, good, then I'll be the first. Be the woman who chooses the road less traveled, the path uncharted, the dream unimaginable. Break the mold, not just for yourself, but for every woman who comes after you. Be the example that proves that we don't have to fit in to succeed. We can stand out and still rise. We can challenge the norm and still thrive. We can be different and still be destined for greatness. Because the world doesn't need more of the same. It needs women who dare to be original. Educating yourself is one of the most empowering and transformative things you can do as a woman. It's not just about degrees, diplomas, or formal classrooms. It's about choosing to be a lifelong learner. Knowledge in any form is power. It opens doors, removes limitations, and helps you see the world through a lens that's bigger than your immediate surroundings. It gives you clarity, confidence, and control. When you educate yourself, you no longer have to rely on someone else to speak for you, to decide for you, or to lead you. You become your own advocate, your own guide, and your own source of strength. In a world that still tries to underestimate or undervalue women, education becomes a quiet revolution. Every skill you learn, every book you read, every question you ask is an act of reclaiming your space. It means you're not content with being left out of the conversation. You're prepared to lead it. Whether you're diving into finance, science, politics, art, technology, or simply understanding how the world works, every piece of knowledge adds another layer to your power. And that power cannot be taken from you once it's yours. Educating yourself also helps you make better decisions, not just in your career, but in your life. It teaches you how to think critically, how to weigh your options,
how to recognize opportunities, and how to spot red flags. It gives you a voice when it matters most. It equips you to stand up for your rights, negotiate your worth, and protect your dreams. It makes you aware of the systems that shape the world and how you can navigate, challenge, or even change them. When you are informed, you become unstoppable. You become the kind of woman who doesn't just follow paths. She creates them with intention and insight. There's also a kind of elegance in being a woman who knows herself and the world around her, who invests in learning, not to impress, but to evolve. And this doesn't mean you have to sit in a classroom for years. Educating yourself can look like reading a new book every month. It can mean listening to podcasts, taking online courses, watching documentaries, talking to people from different walks of life, asking questions, staying curious, and refusing to stay stuck. The more you know, the more options you have. The more options you have, the more freedom you create for yourself. And let's be real, sometimes society will try to convince you that it's better to be pretty than smart, that being agreeable is better than being informed. But that's a lie sold to keep women small. You don't have to choose between being strong and being graceful, between being kind and being knowledgeable. You can be all of it and more. Intelligence is magnetic. It commands attention in a room without needing to raise your voice. It allows you to articulate your dreams, your vision, your worth. It builds credibility, earns respect, and ensures that you are taken seriously not because of how you look, but because of what you know and how you carry that knowledge. Education also gives you independence. It means you don't have to rely on someone else to make choices for you. You can manage your own money, build your own business, advocate for your health, and shape your own legacy. You become the author of your story, not just a character in someone else's script. And when you commit to educating yourself, you show others, especially the young girls watching, that there is power in knowing that a curious woman is a dangerous woman in the best way possible. In every stage of life, knowledge is the one thing that will never fail you. Trends will fade, people will come and go, circumstances will change, but what you've learned, how you've grown, and the wisdom you carry, that stays. It evolves with you. And when you pour into your mind, you strengthen every part of your life. Your confidence, your communication, your creativity, your courage. Educating yourself is not a one-time decision. It's a habit, a lifestyle, a commitment to always becoming more aware, more informed, and more prepared for whatever life throws your way. Building your tribe is about more than just having friends or networking. It's about intentionally surrounding yourself with people who uplift you, challenge you, and believe in you even when you doubt yourself. Success is never a solo journey. No matter how strong, talented, or ambitious you are, you need people. You need the ones who remind you of your power when you forget, who clap for you without jealousy, who tell you the truth with love, and who are not threatened by your shine. The people you keep around you can either accelerate your growth or drain your energy, so you must choose wisely. A strong woman doesn't walk alone. She walks with purpose, with power, and with people who reflect the future she's building. When you build your tribe, you're creating a space of safety and support where you don't have to perform or pretend. You can be your most raw, honest, and unfiltered self. These are the people who hold space for your wins and your wounds. They show up when things are falling apart and when everything is coming together. They remind you of who you are when life tries to make you forget. And just as importantly, you become that person for them too. Building your tribe isn't just about what you get. It's about what you give. It's a bond built on mutual growth, loyalty, and elevation. Sometimes the first step to building the right tribe is letting go of the wrong one. Not everyone deserves access to your energy, your time, or your dreams. Some people will try to keep you small because your growth makes them uncomfortable. Others will support you only as long as they are ahead of you. And there are those who simply don't know how to be happy for you without making it about themselves. It takes courage to outgrow people, but success demands that you be surrounded by those who fuel your fire, not those who extinguish it. You have to protect your space like it's sacred because it is. The right tribe is not made up of perfect people, but of real ones.
People who don't compete with you, but collaborate with you. People who celebrate your individuality instead of asking you to tone it down. Women especially need each other, not in competition, but in connection. When women come together without ego, magic happens. We become mirrors for each other's greatness. We become sounding boards, support systems, and sources of strength. In a world that often pits women against each other, choosing sisterhood over rivalry is a radical act of empowerment. Your tribe can come in many forms: mentors who guide you, peers who walk beside you, friends who ground you, even strangers who inspire you from afar. You might not meet them all at once, and they might not always stay forever, but every person who contributes to your growth leaves a mark. And when you stay open, when you operate from a place of authenticity, you attract people who align with your values and your vision. Your vibe will attract your tribe, as they say. It's also important to recognize that your tribe isn't just there to comfort you. They're there to call you higher, to challenge you when you're playing small, to hold you accountable when you're making excuses, to push you when you're afraid. Real support doesn't just come in the form of kind words. It comes in tough love, honest feedback, and unwavering belief. These are the people who don't just stand beside you when you succeed. They help you get there. They invest in your dreams. They see your potential even when you're still figuring it out. And in the process of building your tribe, don't forget to be that person for others. Be the woman who cheers the loudest, who shares the knowledge, who offers a hand, and who opens doors. Empowered women empower women, and the more you pour into others, the more your tribe will flourish. It becomes a cycle of energy, a space where everyone rises together. In a strong tribe, no one gets left behind. The truth is, your environment shapes you. You become like the people you spend the most time with. So build your tribe with intention, with love, and with vision. Choose people who remind you of your strength, your purpose, and your dreams, especially on the days when you forget. And never settle for relationships that require you to shrink in order to be accepted. The right tribe will never ask you to be less. They'll only remind you that you are and have always been more. Owning your story is one of the most courageous things you can do on the path to becoming a successful woman. It means embracing every part of who you are, your past, your struggles, your wins, your mistakes, your heritage, your voice, and choosing to stand in your truth without apology. It's about refusing to let shame, fear, or judgment silence you. Because your story, exactly as it is, holds power. It's your roots, it's your fuel, it's the evidence that you've survived, overcome, and grown. When you own it, you reclaim control over the narrative. You stop letting the world define you, and you start defining yourself. We live in a world that often tells women to hide their flaws, to bury their pain, and to gloss over anything that might make them less perfect. But perfection is a myth. The real power lies in authenticity. When you own your story, you stop running from your past and start learning from it. You begin to understand that every chapter, no matter how messy or painful, was necessary to become the woman you are today. It doesn't matter if you've made mistakes. It doesn't matter if you've fallen. What matters is that you got back up, that you kept going, that you chose growth over guilt. Owning your story is also about breaking free from the roles society has tried to force upon you.
Too often, women are boxed into labels: the good girl, the quiet one, the obedient daughter, the selfless caregiver. But when you own your story, you step outside those roles. You say, I'm not just one thing, I'm all of it. Bold, vulnerable, strong, flawed, fierce, and evolving.
And that freedom, that wholeness is magnetic. People are drawn to those who are real, who are honest, and who are not afraid to say, this is who I am. You don't owe anyone a polished version of your life.
You don't have to hide your scars to be taken seriously. In fact, those scars are often where your deepest strength comes from. They are reminders of what you've endured and what you've learned. And when you choose to share parts of your story, especially the hard ones, you not only free yourself, but you give others permission to do the same. Your vulnerability becomes someone else's lifeline. Your truth becomes someone else's inspiration. That's the power of showing up as your full self. Owning your story doesn't mean everything has to be shared with everyone. It's about owning it within yourself first. Being honest with who you are, what you want, and what you've been through. It's about no longer pretending, no longer playing small, no longer molding yourself into a version that others will find acceptable. When you own your story, you walk into rooms with your head high, even if your journey has been rough. You stop explaining your worth and you start embodying it. There will be people who don't understand your story. People who will try to twist it or use it against you. That's okay, because when you truly own it, no one else gets to use it as a weapon. They can't shame you with something you've already accepted. They can't silence you with a truth you're proud to carry. The moment you take ownership of your life, you become unshakable, not perfect, but unshakable. You become the kind of woman who doesn't need validation because she knows who she is. This journey of self-ownership is also deeply personal. It's not linear. Some days you'll feel strong in your story, and other days you'll question it. But that's part of the process. Growth is never a straight line. Healing isn't always pretty, but it is always worth it. The more you stand in your truth, the more aligned your life becomes. You start attracting relationships, opportunities, and experiences that resonate with the real you, not the version you felt pressured to be. Your story has the power to impact others, yes, but first and foremost, it has the power to transform you, to remind you of how far you've come, to anchor you in your values, to clarify your vision. Owning your story is not about being fearless, it's about being brave. Brave enough to face yourself, brave enough to speak up, brave enough to rewrite the parts that no longer serve you and to take pride in the parts that do. Your story is your legacy. It's not what happened to you, it's what you do with it. Giving back isn't just a noble gesture, it's a way of life that amplifies your purpose and deepens your success. True fulfillment doesn't come solely from what you achieve, but from what you contribute. As a woman rising in your journey, giving back becomes both a responsibility and a privilege. It's about using your voice, your time, your resources, and your influence to lift others. Because success is not about how high you climb, but how many you bring with you. When you give back, you create a ripple effect. You plant seeds of hope, empowerment, and possibility in places that may never have seen them before. The act of giving back is transformative, not only for those you help, but also for you. It keeps you grounded. It reminds you of your roots. It connects you to something bigger than yourself. As you evolve, as you break barriers and defy expectations, giving back ensures you don't lose sight of what really matters: people. Real impact is made in the moments when you show up for others, not out of obligation, but out of empathy, out of belief in the collective rise of humanity. And when women support other women, when we reach down, reach back, and reach out, we create a force so powerful that it shifts culture, opens doors, and redefines leadership. Giving back can take many forms. It doesn't always mean writing a big check or starting a foundation. It could mean mentoring a young girl who reminds you of yourself. It could mean speaking up for someone who isn't being heard. It could mean sharing your story so that others don't feel alone. It could be as simple as offering your time, your expertise, your encouragement. Every small act matters. Every gesture of support adds weight to the movement of change. When you realize that your success can be someone else's inspiration, you start to live with greater intention. You realize you are not just building a career, you are building a legacy. There's also something deeply healing about giving back. When you've been through pain, loss, rejection, or struggle, helping someone else can become part of your own restoration. It turns wounds into wisdom. It gives meaning to the hard parts of your story, and it teaches you that no matter what you've been through, you still have something to offer. You can turn your experience into someone else's hope. You can be the voice, the hand, the presence that makes all the difference. And that's not just empowering, it's revolutionary. In today's world, where individualism is often glorified, choosing to give back is a radical act. It says, I see you, I care, I will not rise at your expense, I will rise with you. And that mindset builds communities that are not just strong, but sustainable, because when one woman rises, we all rise a little. The woman you mentor today might be the leader the world needs tomorrow. The encouragement you give might be the turning point in someone's life. Never underestimate the power of being there for someone, even in a small way. It matters, and giving back also challenges the notion that success is a finish line. It reminds you that success is ongoing and that it's most beautiful when it's shared. When you give without expecting anything in return, you step into a level of leadership that goes beyond titles or accolades. You become a lighthouse, a symbol of hope, a reminder that compassion and ambition can and should coexist. You prove that kindness is not weakness. It's wisdom, it's strategy, it's strength. As a successful woman, your impact isn't limited to the boardroom, the stage, or the spotlight. It lives in the way you treat people, in the way you show up for your community, in the way you amplify voices that are often silenced, in the way you advocate for justice, for equity, for opportunity. Giving back is how you turn success into significance. It's how you build a life that doesn't just impress, but one that empowers, inspires, and elevates. And when you make giving back a part of who you are, not just something you do, you step into a legacy that outlasts you. You become a light that keeps shining long after you've passed the torch, because the real goal isn't just to be the first, the best, or the most recognized. It's to make sure you're not the last. It's to hold the door open, to extend the ladder, to use your platform, whatever it may be, to create room for others to rise.